Ready to dominate at the plate? Blast Baseball is trusted by more major league and college teams than any other hitting solution. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 at checkout to save $25. All right, everybody, it is 9 o'clock. Let's get right into it. We do this series every Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern on X Spaces. I'm Alan Gay, and this is Now D1 Speaks. Hey, tonight we have really got a good show. We've got a coach. We got a JUCO coach, Allegheny College of Maryland. We've got Coach Heyne with us. It's going to be unbelievable. Hey, Coach, are you there?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, Coach Heyne, man. So glad you're with us. This is really going to be a really, really fun night, man. I cannot wait to get into it. But before we start, kind of want you to introduce yourself, maybe go through a little bit of your background, kind of give us an idea of your graduation year. You know, hey, man, where did you even go to high school? Where'd you end up going to college? And what was who first got you into playing baseball?
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this. Just kind of talk a little bit of baseball. It's always fun to do that. But, so I went to Susquehannock High School in South Central Pennsylvania. I graduated in 2007. And then from there, I had two offers to play college baseball, two written offers, I should say. And one was at Bridgewater College in Virginia, Division III, and then one was Rider University in New Jersey, Division I. So I wanted to fulfill my D1 aspirations, so I went there, graduated in 4 years, played all 4 years, started as a freshman all the way up through, and had a pretty good career there, and went to two regionals, so that was cool. Won the conference tournament twice out of the 4 years I was there. And then, just like most people, my dad and my cousin and my uncles, kind of the ones that got us into baseball, or me into baseball. We played Little League and everything. I'm an only child, so my two cousins were like my brothers, and we kind of just did everything together. And our dads are big baseball guys, Oriole fans. So I kind of grew up liking the Orioles and watching, or not watching, but listening and hearing about Brooks Robinson and Brady Anderson, Kyle Ripken, all those guys. So that's how I kind of got into baseball, and that was always my passion, my dream. So it's kind of where I was today, or in it today. So that's kind of what we're living it out. You know what I mean? Living the dream, as they say.
Man, you are living the dream. Congratulations. So you graduated high school in 2007. My gosh, man, you're just a baby. Oh, my word. Yeah. You're so young.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't feel young. I got 3 kids, and they get, I've got some gray in my beard already, so.
Hey, well,
I don't know if that's from the kids or my team.
Hey, well, congratulations on the kids too, man. What an accomplishment. But I got to say, so I love the way you phrased it. I had 2 offers, and then you said 2 written offers. And I kind of want to talk about that. But the one thing you mentioned was the D3 school, Bridgewater. So I'm telling you, so you're not just an athlete. You're kind of a smart guy as well.
I don't know, because in high school my grades weren't great, and then I think I was like a 2.8 or something. I was a 3-sport guy, played basketball, football, and baseball, and just didn't think anything about the grades. And then I got into Rider, and I finished there with a 3.75. So I think once I got into college, I realized how important that was for later in life. I kind of grew up, in college. It's kind of, I don't know if it's backwards, but I kind of, was immature in high school and didn't really know what I was doing. And then went to college and was like, hey, I got to get myself together. And I think that might have been the atmosphere I was in at Division I think, and my coach too, just the structure and everything he kind of had, kind of just changed my mindset on things and priorities and what I need to do with my experience.
Heck yeah, man. 3.75. My goodness. That's very, very impressive. And playing baseball all 4 years. So talk to us just a little bit about that experience. All right, so you go to Rider University. what position or positions did you play? Really, what were your strengths? And maybe what was it that you think that you just kind of needed to work on that really would have advanced your career?
Yeah, so I went in and went in as a third baseman. So in high school, I did a little bit of everything. I caught a little bit, pitched, played pretty much all the infield positions. Didn't really play outfield, and that's kind of going to go into what I need to improve on. I wasn't very fast. I was a 7.4 ish runner. I mean, it's not crazy slow, but it's not flying down the line or anything. But yeah, I played third for 2 years, and then they brought in a freshman my junior year, and my coach was like, "Hey, he's pretty good. Let's, do you want to move to first? Because if you don't move to first, then he's gonna be on the bench." And I'm like, "Well, I want to win, so as long as I'm playing, I'll play anywhere. I don't care." So I ended up moving to first, which ended up being a good move because I actually had a micro tear in my labrum. Played with that for 2 years, basically. And I was like, I told myself I didn't want to go to school for 5 years. I wanted to be done in 4. So I could have redshirted and got it fixed, but never wanted to do that. I just wanted to graduate in 4 years and move on, and try to play at the next level. Yeah, so I played the corners there. I actually caught a couple games too. I was like the emergency backup. And that was kind of crazy, trying to catch with the torn labrum. I think after the first or second inning, they realized something was going on because I couldn't get the ball down there as fast as I probably should have. So they were stealing like crazy. And I mean, but I did okay. I mean, I had all of pregame to get ready to catch. That was the extent of practice I had before I got thrown in there. I think it was versus Appalachian State.
Wow.
So that was fun.
Yeah. Man, I got to tell you, a couple things that you just said, right? Kind of going through your introduction and then talking about the positions that you play. One, what an unbelievable experience at Rider. You had the opportunity to go to 2 regionals. And I mean, that's just so huge in and of itself. I mean, what an accomplishment, what an atmosphere. I mean, that's something, I am sure that you're impressing upon the guys that are playing with you all the time. You're just trying to impart upon them that type of experience. And then the second thing that you said was, hey, you were entering your junior year. Freshman came along, probably high-level freshman, ton of upside. Coach approaches you about playing somewhere else. And I think this is a big key in baseball, and I'd love for you to be able to touch on it. You were ready to play anywhere. You know what I mean? It wasn't, hey, I'm locked into whatever position. This is where I feel comfortable. I know I was the best in Little League. I was the best in high school at this position. I'm not comfortable going anywhere else. I think it speaks volumes about really what it says about somebody playing at a high level. They can play multiple positions and move around, and what the value is there. So not so much a question, just kind of an observation. Kind of fill us in. How important is it to be versatile when you get to college?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, we always look at the athlete, the whole athlete. Are you an athletic guy? And I think if you are a single sport guy too, I don't want to say that raises red flags or anything, but it doesn't show that you're maybe the athlete you could be, if that makes sense. Or multiple positions. If you're just a one position guy, if you could only play center field, it might be tough because a lot of guys around you could be hitting, and you got to figure out a way to get some of these guys in the game. At least that's my philosophy. I try to load the lineup with hitters. Sometimes we sacrifice some defense, but yeah, I mean, when I was at Rider, I mean, I asked if I was going to play, and the answer was yeah. And I was like, well, I want to win a championship because I had experienced it as a freshman there, and then we didn't get to go until my junior year again. So it actually worked out, but I wanted to do that again, and I had seen a fall, and this kid that was there, he was solid. He could help us win. So, and I think too is the coaching staff that I had there, Coach Barry Davis. He's still there actually. and they went to a regional this year. Give a little shout out to him. They went to a regional this year and actually beat Coastal Carolina in a regional. So it was pretty awesome for them. But yeah, I think it was just a testament to him. It was like a selfless mentality there. I mean, no one was really in it for themselves. Like we did everything together. I mean, even the class that I graduated with, we still talk all the time. I mean, text. I've gone to. They've come to my wedding. I'm going to their weddings. You know, it's just one of those things, lifelong bonds. But I think that's the biggest thing is just there's a bigger picture than just individual success. And I know baseball is like it's an individual game within a team, basically. But if you can just be confident in your ability and then do what's best for the team, I think obviously it worked. We had great success there when I was there for 4 years, and but that was just kind of my mindset always. I just wanted to win. I hate losing, so I wanted to win, and if that was the best chance, then I'd go over there and play over there. But if you can be versatile as an athlete on the baseball field, and it just avoids you ever having to sit on the bench and let somebody else play. If you can catch one game and then go play right field, to give your legs a break, it's just a huge advantage for players. So that's kind of what I always look for is just is he athletic? Is basically the phrase I use all the time.
That's a great phrase, man. No question about it. You got to be athletic and you got to want to win. And what a compliment to Ryder this year, knocking out Coastal Carolina. I mean, Coastal won the national championship, 2 years ago? What was it, 3 years? I can't even remember. But I mean, my gosh, it just kind of really shows you the competition level that's in baseball across the country. It doesn't matter what the division is, the ability that these kids have to play baseball and to perform is unbelievable. I love that. And I love listening to you talk about, kind of the commitment to going to Ryder, and you're saying, hey, man, these guys are going to my wedding. I'm going to their wedding. We kind of stay in touch. What a commitment. It's not just, hey, man, it's not just about playing baseball. I mean, these are lifelong decisions. These are mature decisions, big boy decisions that are being made. And I love the way you're phrasing it. I mean, you're just putting it in terms that, hey, man, people can absolutely understand. I mean, that's good stuff right there. I really want to be extremely mindful of our core audience, and I know you know this, Coach Heyne. Our core audience is really uncommitted high school prospects. These are guys that are just trying to figure out, how do I get to the next level? And in saying that, talk to us just a little bit before we get into your coaching experience and so forth. Just talk to us about your recruiting experience and what it was that really led you to Ryder. How did that all come together?
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I know I'm not super old, but the whole travel ball era and things like that just did not exist back in 2007. I mean, even if it did, it was kind of like an elite thing. Like you had to be invited or something like that, or get seen by somebody and be, asked to come play for them. But it's very interesting because, I played and had a pretty good high school career, and I just wasn't getting the looks as I thought I should. And so I made the decision to not play football my senior year and play got invited to play in a fall travel team, I guess you could say. And we just kind of went up and down the East Coast, not too crazy. I think the farthest south we went was like North Carolina or something like that. So it was like from Pennsylvania to North Carolina. But basically, I didn't sign until really late. I feel like I signed in October. Or I don't know, it might have been early August or something. I feel like I signed and went right to school. Like it was super, super late. But I think my experience was just, it's not like it is today, that's for sure. There was no way I felt like I could get exposure out there. Because you could send, I think I went out to a local field and made like a DVD of me catching, throwing, hitting, all that stuff, and burned it and had to send it to them by the mail, and I just never knew if they gotten it. You know what I mean? So it was like, I don't even know if these guys are seeing me, you know? So, but lucky enough, I had Coach Davis, got in connection with him, and then he came to a number of my high school games my senior year. And, you know, and then it was interesting because I remember distinctly he came to one game, and I told my coach he was coming, and then my coach pitched me during that game. Well, he wanted to see me play, you know, third base or whatever, but it was my spot in the rotation. And I think after the game, he was like, yeah, we're not going to look at you for pitching. But I had a nice day at the plate, so he was like, you can definitely swing it. You're definitely not going to pitch. Okay. You know, so, but yeah, I mean, my recruiting was, it was honestly very, I don't want to say scarce, but I just didn't feel like I had a lot of opportunity because I had that dream of playing Division I, you know, and then but I didn't just jump on it. You know, I think that's another thing too that we can talk about for a second. I just didn't jump on it because it was Division I. You know, I think my offer from Bridgewater was almost a full with academic and some scholarship. You know, because even with the 2.7, I could still get a little bit of money for Division III. But you know, I visited both, talked to both coaching staffs, all the coaches. You know, met some of the team, all that good stuff. And it was just like one of those things where you get that feeling when you drive up to a college or something like, this is the place I want to be. That's kind of what I got when I first got it. You know, we were driving into Ryder, me and my mom and my dad. And that's kind of the feeling I got. But I really took the process as long as it could go, you know, and wanted to make the best decision. Made a pros and cons list and all that good stuff. And it wasn't so much about money either. I mean, money was part of it, right? You want to get a scholarship and do those things. But I think it was an investment. I was looking at it as an investment in my education and my baseball, you know. So I was willing to go into a little bit of debt to have those experiences. And to me, it was worth it. If I could do it again, I would.
Wow. That was so impactful right there, Coach Hahn. I got to tell you, I'm so happy we're recording this. And I got to tell you, everybody that's jumping in, thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate you guys supporting Now D1 Speaks, but really supporting Coach Mason Heyne as well. If you did get in late, don't worry about it. We record this space. And thank goodness we record it. And we record it for messages like we just heard. And we're going to be able to retweet this out later. And that's the kind of stuff that just kind of lives out there. And it's a big deal. I love you sharing that. I mean, that really just kind of touches me all the way around. I love the piece about burning a DVD. I'm just wondering, you know, right. I'm wondering how many sophomore and junior high school players are sitting here thinking, what's he talking about? Burning a DVD? What does that mean?
Yeah, you can't just send a link.
Right. I mean, that is such good stuff, man. Thank you so much for sharing all that you're sharing. So let me ask you something. When your playing career kind of, was winding up at Ryder, talk to us just a little bit. What did you do immediately after graduation? And then what kind of led you into coaching? And where all have you coached?
Yeah, so it's this could get long, so I'll try to make it short because it's kind of a wild scenario or a wild story. But obviously after college, I wanted to play professionally, and during my first couple years, you know, I had some scouts and things, filled out some questionnaires, and did all that. And you know, after my last game at the conference championship, I believe we lost my senior year. I actually made the last out in that game, but you know, that was kind of heartbreaking. But at the same time, you know, it was over and everything, and I'm sitting there listening to the draft on the radio, off the computer because they didn't even televise it. And so I'm just sitting there and waiting. You know, I had no idea how it worked. I didn't know if they just called your name and then you got called or anything like that. But I never got the opportunity to play. So after I had gotten out, I just decided I wasn't done playing. So I went and tried out for a few independent teams. Thought I had really good workouts. Had gotten myself into really good shape. And then after that, never really had those opportunities to go do that. So I was like, hey, maybe it's not meant for me to play. anymore, so I can just play some men's league local if I want, just to stay in it. And then my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife currently, she's a little bit younger than I am, a year younger than I am. But so once she got out of school, her parents actually had moved to Oregon, and her family was from there. So, when she got out of school, home for her was in Oregon. So she had to go move to Oregon. So, her mom actually bought me a one-way ticket out there, which was interesting. I don't know what kind of message she was trying to send, but bought me a one-way ticket, and I decided I was going to go out there for a little bit and live. And then my family wasn't too happy about that, but I was a grown man and able to make those decisions, and eventually my dad supported me in those. So I went out there and actually was not involved in baseball for probably 2.5 years. But prior to that, sorry, I actually missed a part. Prior to that, I went to California University of Pennsylvania and got my master's degree. So before I went to Oregon, I got my master's degree at Cal U of PA in sport management, because I did have a thought of coaching in the back of my mind, and I knew that having a master's degree would be the best way to have those opportunities. So I didn't want to limit myself if I ever wanted to coach later. So I got that master's degree, then moved to Oregon. Long story short, my wife ended up getting a job offer to coach volleyball at Davis and Elkins College in West Virginia. And so naturally, I followed. But she got to fly across the country, and I had to drive all of our stuff and a dog. So that was interesting. So me and our dog drove from Oregon to West Virginia. And there was a stipulation. I said, or she took the job with the stipulation saying, if I take this job, my husband needs to have a job, because we don't want to have one income when we come here. He would need a job. So they actually got me an admissions counselor job at Davis and Elkins. I'd never done it in my life. And so I did that, and then I actually connected with the baseball coach there and started volunteer coaching. In about 6 months, I would be a fall season. I didn't have the same views as the head coach. So rather than, feel awkward or not support what he's doing, I just said, hey, I'm going to step back. I'm going to let you do your thing. I don't want to conflict with you. I never did, but then I just didn't want to do that. If I didn't have the same beliefs, I just didn't want to be someone who I'm telling them this and coach is telling them that and all of that. So I'm walking over across campus to tell the athletic director that I'm just going to step away. And he actually calls me and he says, "You're never going to believe this. The coach just stepped down." And I said, "Oh, really? No way." And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "So now the position's open." And I said, "Well, that's cool. Great." And he goes, "Yeah, and we're going to give it to you." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, that's awesome. I'll take a pay cut. I don't care. I'll do it." And so, but that's kind of how I got my first head coaching job at a Division II. I was a GA at Cal U of PA when I was getting my master's, so I had a little bit of experience with Division II. But I just kind of got thrown into the fire as a Division II coach. And when I took over, we had 19 players and 4 pitchers.
Oh my gosh!
And I was really proud because the year before they were like 7-30, and then we won 14. I think we were like 14-32 or something like that. But we had doubled the wins with 4 pitchers, so I was kind of pumped about that. And then I was there for 5 years, and then the COVID year was the year that it kind of shut down, everything. And it took me 5 years, and I had us regionally ranked. I didn't really have us. It was the players, but I had put together a nice team that of good, solid players, and it took 5 years. And we had beaten Mercyhurst, who was number 2 in the country at the time. Savannah State had just dropped down from Division I to Division II, and we took 3 out of 4 against them. And we were regionally ranked, and we were looking on the up and up, and then COVID happened. And once that happened, then my wife actually took a job at Frostburg State, which is here in Frostburg, Maryland. And then it was like, it happened all over again. The story happened all over again. I came here, I had to get a part-time job, actually connected with Coach Reinhardt, who you had on here before, and worked for him a little bit at Personal Best. And then I got a part-time job at Allegheny College of Maryland, just like mowing grass, taking care of the baseball field, doing stuff like that. Volunteered. Same thing happened. Coach had some personal things going on, had to step away. And then I applied for the job and got it. So it was just kind of a weird events, I guess you could say. And it's interesting because I don't know. I don't do anything to undermine or do anything like that to anybody. And that's the first thing. So that's the first thing that people ask, like, what'd you do to get the coach? Like, and I'm like, no, I didn't do anything. I don't know. I guess it was just good timing, you know?
That's so funny, man. I gotta tell you, man, I'm sitting here thinking everybody's wondering, all right, let's keep an eye out for that Coach Heyne. If she shows up as a volleyball coach, you better watch out, baseball guy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yes.
That's such good stuff. There were so many things that kind of popped up, and you answered them for me. I was going to ask you, so, okay, let us know what your wife is doing now. I mean, obviously you had 3 kids, but hey, she is the volleyball coach at Frostburg State. And then I was trying to get a time frame in my mind as you were talking about it. And I was thinking, all right, so if you went to Rider in 2007, you graduated around 2011, 2012, probably 2011. I mean, you were really dialed into, I am going to graduate no matter what happens. And then you go and you get your master's. So, you know, now we're 2012, 2013-ish, maybe a little bit later. Then you come back across the country. I was trying to figure that out. And it started making a lot of sense when you're talking about the 5 years and COVID. I was like, okay, so when you got back over here, it was on the East Coast. That's around 2015, 2016. Kind of goes right through the 2020, 2021. I'm on it. I got you, man.
Yeah, you got the time.
Heck yeah, man. Perfect. And I love that. But I think it's just so funny that you were just the way you're phrasing it. You're just kind of following your wife. You know what I mean? Like wherever she pops up, hey, here I am. And guess what, guys? Now I'm the baseball coach.
Yeah, it's kind of wild how
it is wild. It's crazy. And I love, you know what, Coach Reinhardt, you started talking about him with Allegheny College of Maryland, obviously. I tell you, Coach Reinhardt, I got to tell you, that's one of the nicest people that I've ever met online. I mean, he is somebody that, you know, for whatever reason, he is tweeting things out. I've always kind of liked the things that he puts out. I like the players that go to Allegheny College of Maryland, and I would retweet them. And you know, he would just send me some of the nicest notes just of appreciation, just like, hey, dude, I really appreciate that. You know, we're trying to get guys out there, and I appreciate you recognizing them. And guess what? You doing that really helps them. And that kind of led me to say, I've got this little podcast, man. Would you like to come on? And immediately he was just like, shoot, yeah, I would love to do it. And I think that just speaks volumes of kind of who he is. And when he came on, he did the podcast. He was unbelievable. And in the middle of it, a couple of your players, it was Kobe White and it was Noah Williamson. They just kind of sent me this direct message almost right in the middle of this Twitter space. And they were like, I got to tell you, we would love to come on. There is an unbelievable story that's happening at Allegheny College of Maryland. We really want to be on. We want to talk to you. Both these guys they were co-captains last year. Absolutely very, very successful. They've gone on to play D1. I think Noah's gone to Ohio State and Kobe's gone to Stephen F. Austin. And they're just like, we want to get on and tell you what's happening. And we really want to talk to you about Coach Heyne and really kind of the culture that's happening there. And this is a tremendous success story. And I was like, heck yeah. I was like, this is unbelievable. I want you guys on. And when they came on, and I'm kind of rambling just a little bit, but they came on. And then, you know what, Coach, you reached out to me and you said, you know what, this is a good story. And I've got a lot of experience. I was able to play Division I baseball. I coached at Division II. And now I'm coaching here at JUCO. I love what you're offering. I think that I could give a lot of guys that your core audience out there what it is to be successful. I would love to be a part of that. And I got to tell you, man, this is totally unsolicited. It just speaks volumes about really what JUCO baseball is all about, but even more to the point, kind of what the culture at Allegheny College of Maryland's all about. And so as we kind of get into this, I just really want to know more about how it is that you guys are really attracting talent that is really not only D1 talent, but professional baseball, MLB talent. How is it that you're kind of attracting that type of talent, getting kids excited about being part of the program, and then what it is that you're really doing to kind of help them move to the next level as well? So with that in mind, what's the D2 level like? What's the JUCO level like? What's the difference between the two? And then what is it about necessarily Allegheny College of Maryland that is really presenting opportunities?
Yeah, so I mean, for Division two, first, I think the first thing that comes to mind with me is there's just a lot more rules in Division two than there are in junior college. I think in Division two, you have 20 hours a week to practice in the off season, or have any mandatory things. So any meetings, anything that you make the team do counts towards that 20 hours, and you must give them 2 days off. And then in the spring, it actually is only 1 day required off, but you still only have 20 hours. So any lifting, any study hall mandatory, any team meetings, anything, community service, anything like that counts towards your 20 hours a week. So that kind of limits you in your development sometimes, and you got to find the right guys that are going to be able to do stuff on their own, or that are going to be motivated to go to the cage, extra or more than what is required by me or the team. So I think that's the biggest thing. But as far as the baseball goes, at least in my eyes, I think our team this past year could have competed with any Division two team in the Mountain East Conference. I'm not saying we would beat them all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we're better than them. I've been saying that we can compete with them. So the level of baseball you're getting, I don't see a very far drop from Division two, at least the conference I was in there, and our regional play here. The only thing I would say is these schools are going to be a little deeper. Instead of having 290 arms, they might have four. Instead of having two or three big bats, they're going to have six. So I think, and that's just going to be based on, money, really. How much scholarship can they offer? Can they get guys packages? Are they finding the guy that has the right combination of grades and need from their family through government, FAFSA, and all that good stuff? So, I think that's the biggest thing too, is just got to be smart with, as far as a coach, with how you utilize your scholarships. And that was the biggest thing from going from Division two to JUCO that I had to get used to, was that, I mean, the scholarship budget that I had at D&E to work with was, I don't want to say amazing, but it was good. I was like, wow, okay, I got some money that I can move around here and get some guys and offer guys. Whereas here at junior college, we're very limited, right? So we're trying to make more, we're trying to do more with less. So, you got to be really strategic when you are trying to recruit these players, because you're not going to be offering them 65%, right? It's going to be, here's your book money, or here's $1,000 that I can give you, So, and I think too that sometimes that makes it difficult, and it's, for me anyway, it's really, really easy to know if a guy is really bought into what you're trying to do, because if he's just looking for money and the best money option, then he's not really going to be a guy that's going to be there for the team or be a team guy. He's just kind of doing it for himself. So I always look for guys that are grateful. When you do say, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000, they're just like, oh my gosh, coach, thank you so much. That just means the world. not, hey, what about two, you know?
Hmm.
Um, so that's one of those things that I always look for. But, junior college, no rule. I mean, there are rules, but they're unlimited practice. I mean, you can practice. We could have mandatory practice from sun up to sundown if we wanted to. And nobody would ever come and say anything. Obviously I don't do that. I try to structure, well, I've tried to my first couple of years structure it more like a Division II, so that when they leave here, they're not, wondering why they're not practicing more in a Division II. We definitely practice more than 20 hours a week in the fall. Um, mandatory lifting, running, all that good stuff, long practices. Uh, but I do give them days off, whereas I know a lot of other junior colleges, no days off type thing. But I think days off are important, in recovery, especially when you're training in the fall and trying to get yourself ready to play for the spring. So I try to structure like Division II with a little bit more practice, if that makes sense. So we practice more, but it's still kind of along those lines as a Division II. So, but yeah, I mean the main thing, like I said, is just the talent. The talent level is going to be the same. I mean, at least where we're getting to now. And I think the main reason that this program is kind of coming back, I guess, is because Coach Bazarnik was here for 40 plus years. He was the only coach here for 40 plus years, and I'm like the third coach
Hmm.
ever in the history of the school. So he kind of started down at the bottom and then kind of came up through, and tons of World Series appearances. I think 50 plus guys drafted straight from here, all the way up through. I mean, one of our pitching coordinators, or not pitching coordinators, our assistant athletic director is a pitching coordinator for the White Sox currently.
Hmm.
And he actually played here, coached here, and then now he's back, and he's kind of an advisor, pitching coordinator / advisor for the White Sox. And he helps out a lot. So, and he actually recruits for us too. So he's one of his primary jobs is to help recruit for all the athletic programs. So he sends me guys all the time, like, hey, take a look at this guy. I found this guy, scout friend of mine sent me this or whatever. And so, he sends me stuff all the time. That's kind of how we look and find players. And, he's like, if you like him, take him. If you don't, no big deal. We'll find more. So, but I think the tradition, John Kruk played here, Scott Siebel, Steve Klein, a lot of bigger named guys played here too. So that kind of helps the tradition and things like that. And especially even with basketball too, like Steve Francis played here. I'm not sure if a lot of people listening probably have no idea who that is. Your core audience probably has no idea who Steve Francis is. But he was a point guard for the Rockets, in the '90s, and he played basketball here. So it's a big basketball, baseball school. And I think too, it's just the tradition alone, is what helps us recruit and things like that. But also too, having just getting a kid, like let's say I get a kid from South Carolina. He has a good experience, goes back home, tells all of his buddies, word gets out, then all of a sudden now people in South Carolina know where Allegheny College of Maryland is. So it's kind of like that word of mouth marketing type thing. And I think that helps too, because we have a huge reach of, recruiting where we go and look to find guys, guys from New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, all over. Maryland, you got guys in Maryland too. So I think that's another reason why you're going to see a lot of these, or at least our program kind of coming back, is they put a lot of emphasis on baseball here and basketball, but baseball and basketball are the two top sports here, I guess you could say. And so we got a lot of support. We just got a brand new field, outfield, infield, everything brand new with irrigation. So, when guys come in and see construction, I'm sure you've heard that. When you go to college and you see construction, that's a good sign, right? So, when we're making upgrades and things like that. And I think too, and I know I get long-winded, but and I think too is just kind of the way I run it here, I run it as a 1-year program. So what I mean by that is if you're a freshman and you come in out of a killer year and you get an offer from somewhere, and maybe it's your dream school, maybe it's not, but you feel like that's your best offer and you want to go, I shake your hand and say go and congratulate you, because if I don't and I say, no, you committed to me for 2 years, then that opportunity that you just had is gone next year because they're going to fill your spot with somebody like you or not. Or maybe they keep your spot, but they give your money to somebody else. So in my mind, it's junior college is for that purpose, is to develop and get you to a better opportunity. So why or who am I to tell you that you can't take a better opportunity for yourself, or try to make you feel bad for wanting to do so. And I tell guys this all the time. I'm really competitive, but I don't do this job, especially at a junior college. I don't do this job for wins and losses under my name. I do it for guys like Kobe and Noah and other players, maybe, that get to move on. I see, we had a lot of guys go and play this year after this year, and that was the biggest success, regardless of wins and losses in my eyes. We were able to help those guys move on and have the opportunity to play. And that's the point of junior college. And you're impacting guys' lives. And that's kind of what coaching is,
I do know. Man, I'm so happy with tonight, Coach Heyne. I got to tell you, this is really a special night. I love that you're long-winded. I love the way you put that in there. But I got to tell you, I'm a dad with a baseball son that went through the recruiting process. He played college baseball. And I got to tell you, I'm eating this up because you're the type of coach that I would have wanted influencing my son. I mean, there's no question about it. I love the way you're talking. I mean, you're a young guy, but you're super level-headed. You're at a great school with tremendous tradition. You're only the third head coach, and you're talking about, the field, they're making renovations. That's the Rock, right? I mean, they're making renovations to a really special place. And there's tons of tradition. You've had big-time athletes. I did not realize that John Kruk came through there. I mean, talk about one of the best baseball hitters that's ever played the game. I mean, that's big-time stuff. I love this. I'm so happy you're long-winded. I got to imagine that any parent that's kind of dialing in and listening to what you're going to be saying, they're going to be saying, yeah, you know what? I think I could absolutely trust my son with Coach Heyne. This is big stuff, man. I love it. A couple things I want to ask you about that you did touch on. D2 typically has, 9 to 10 scholarships, somewhere in that area. It's kind of partial scholarships, so forth. But you also kind of made reference that the junior college maybe is a little bit less. So how do you make more with less? What is it that you're doing to really attract kids to come here, and also kind of give us just a general sense of what is the roster size when somebody shows up?
Yeah, so generally we carry between 36 and 40 guys, and we don't make any cuts. So I don't go any over that, or I don't go, any less than that. Usually I like to be around 36. That's a really good number, but 40 is good too if we're rebuilding or something and we need some guys to compete and get after it. Because always what happens is you're going to have injuries. You're going to have guys who just don't follow through in the classroom, and they kind of weed themselves out. So you end up getting yourself down to 36, 38 without even having to do anything as a coach. So some of those guys do that to themselves. So that's a fair number. I think we try to keep around 20 arms for same reason. It's injuries, wear and tear, making sure guys get proper rest between starts and things like that, but then having quality arms to go out when they have to rest. So it's one of those things why you get more pitching, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm trying to remember the question you had asked before that.
Just like generally, how do you really do more with less? I think that was kind of the way you put it.
Yeah, so you're looking for high academic kids, right? So if you have high academic kids, they obviously get a little bit more money academically, and then you're not having to, give them as much money for athletics. And we have a scholarship book at AC, which I tell every recruit of ours about this. And it's basically like a 110-page book. And you can go through there and you can apply for any scholarship in there you want. And a lot of them have requirements like writing a paragraph about something, or you know giving a presentation about something, and you can do that and earn money. I mean, I had my first year when I took over here, we had a student athlete who, he got like 6 scholarships from that book and ended up paying like $2,000 a year to go here, and I didn't have to give him any money. So I always tell guys that we try to go with the pitching is where we try to put our money, because that's obviously one of the more important positions.
Sure.
So you're really doing more with less based on trying to gain the student athlete's trust that you're going to help them move on to the next level. Because and I always tell them too, like I said in the beginning, it's an investment. You're investing your money wisely now so that you don't have to pay later. So like Noah and Kobe, getting scholarships, not having to pay very much to go to school after they left here. They had to pay a little bit to go here. Like someone like Noah still had to pay money to go here, and it was, I didn't give him a lot of money to be here, so, and I think too, it's just being smart with how you utilize it, because I can split up money based on semester. So like if I'm giving you $1,000, I can give you 1,000 in the fall or 1,000 in the spring, or I can split up 500 and 500. So a lot of it is incentive based. I tell guys this when we're recruiting them, like, yeah, I have money for you, but I want to see how you do in the fall. What kind of teammate are you? How are your grades? Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be doing all the things right? Because I don't want to give you this money based on a workout you had last summer with me. Talent wise, you're there for sure, but I'm going to wait and see. And then if you do what I think you're capable of, I'll give you all the money in the spring, so that's something unique, I think, with us compared to Division II, that you just don't have that option. D2, you have to give them the money and they spread it out over the year. But here I can allocate it to semester. So a lot of times I'm doing that. And then there's guys that I think I have a connection with when I recruit them, and I have a good relationship with them, that I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to give you half and half, and we're going to ride with that. So I don't know. I think too, it's just you got to build relationships, and I think that's the other thing. I think that's how you do more with less, is that you really build those relationships, and like you said, make parents feel like they can trust sending their kid to you and they're going to be taken care of.
No doubt.
It's more than just baseball, especially if a kid's coming from like Florida or something, and you're basically their dad, away from home, So, yeah, I think that's the thing that I learned too when I was at Dean. He had a really good athletic director who kind of taught me that it's not all about winning all the time, which I assumed it was when you got into college coaching, because you see all these stories like so and so got fired because they didn't win or whatever, so I thought, well, I got to go in and win. And then he was like, no, it's more about retention and building relationships. And I've kind of used that as ever since then. And I think that's why a lot of guys have pretty good experiences here. Not saying everybody does, because not everybody can play, right? So some guys don't have a great experience just because they maybe don't get enough playing time as somebody else did. So it's unfortunate, but I treat everybody the same. If you're the starting third baseman, you get the same treatment as the third string, and I can tell you countless times, guys would walk by my office last year. Hey, can you throw me VP? And I teach at the college too. So I'm like, in between classes. I'm like, I only got 15 minutes and I'll throw you, so it was like, it didn't matter who it was. If it was the star hitter or if it was the backup, it didn't matter. And then there were sometimes I was just like, no, I really can't. Like, I'm swamped right now. I got to grade this or whatever, I can't come through.
I got to go to volleyball practice. I can't do that right now.
Yeah, right. Well, it's amazing to me that, and I'm just going to say this. It might offend some guys, but this is something for these younger guys on here that this is a good piece of advice for you. Learn how to throw batting practice yourself, so you and your buddies can go hit on your own. You don't need a coach to throw you BP all the time. When I played at Ryder, all we did was throw BP to each other. The coach never was involved. Nowadays they always want the coach to throw to them, and it's like, guys, you don't need me to throw.
But hey, why they want you doing it.
Well, I throw my BP, but that's okay, and that's fine. But it's like, you can still get your work in. You don't need me to throw, So, no, but I have fun. We like to have fun, and I think that's the thing, too. I just try to have relationships with each guy. I think that's super important.
It is important, extremely important. This is such an awesome night. I keep saying that, but I am really thoroughly enjoying this. I mean, you are just you're just a real person, and you're just kind of putting it out there, and this is the way you're running your program. And I got to tell you, without having a survey, I got to believe everybody that hears this is absolutely going to appreciate it. I mean, this is big time stuff. So thank you. So let me ask you, how can a prospect really get on your radar? I love some of the things that you were talking about with the kind of what their makeup is. It's not always about winning, losing. I got to imagine if you go and watch somebody play in a high school game, that guy can already play. There are other things that you're looking at. You're really checking out his makeup. So what is it that kind of puts him out there as, this is the kind of guy that I want representing the school? And then what are a couple things that maybe just really turn you off? Like, this, I don't care how talented he is. This is just not a good fit.
Yeah. So for me, I always have to see you play in person. I would never just recruit a guy based on video. So video will get you noticed, right? So if you send me an email or something, or connect with me on Field Level or any of those other recruiting apps. I'm not a big NCSA fan, but I do use it occasionally, but or PBR or any of those. I like those. But if I see a video on there, that's going to spark my interest to see you in person. And so I always want to meet you in person. I always want to meet your family, all that good stuff. And I think one thing that I've learned over the years is how you interact with your parents, right? So if you are disrespectful or not giving your parents the respect that they need, or speaking to them in a way that seems like putting them down or anything like that, because sometimes it happens. I mean, I can only imagine how you're going to treat me as a coach, right? So I think that's another thing that I'm big on, is the interaction between son and parent. I think it's important. And even in high school games, I sometimes during games, I don't want the distraction of the third baseman's dad, by the dugout. And so it's no big deal. Like I'm a guy who will talk, and it's fine, but there is a little bit of that going on too. So if I see some of that during the recruiting process, it's not a deal breaker, because ultimately I'm dealing with the son, not the parents, right? So even though they're a big part of it, of what they're doing, it's just, I think how they communicate with their parents is one. Another one is how they look. If I ask someone to come for a workout, are their pants clean? Is their shirt tucked in? Do they look like a baseball player, or are they showing up in flip-flops and sandals and then throw their spikes on? So it's a lot of that stuff. Now pitchers, obviously, sometimes they ask, hey, can I just throw in shorts today? And sometimes, when it's like 90 and 85% humidity, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm not out here trying to kill you or anything. But that happens too. And also if I get along with you, because I have to get along with you. I'm going to be around you every day, and I'm going to talk to you every day. And if you're someone that it's hard to talk to, it might not be a fit. And really, honestly, and I'm not just saying this, like, I mean this. It's hard for me not to like somebody, to be honest, because I feel like I'm just a happy guy all the time. I have my days, but if you're just respectful, and my thing is being on time, you got to be on time for me, and that's one of my things, tardiness. And so, and I treat this, and I try to teach life lessons during this stuff too. You're not going to show up late to work and then still think you have a job, after a couple times. So we're trying to do that. But, throwing equipment, stuff like that, obviously are turnoffs too during high school games and things like that. But I like having personal workouts with recruits because I can get one-on-one action with them. And really, and another thing I do when guys visit is I actually coach them during the visit. And I don't think coaches do that. I'm not afraid to make tweaks or adjustments to a recruit that's visiting and taking batting practice. If I see something, I try to adjust it and help. And I think one of our recruits that's coming this year, he's going to be a freshman. He had said when he committed that was the number one reason why he wanted to come, was because I was coaching him and he wasn't even committed yet. And
shoot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about, and I don't do that to try to get commits. I'm doing that because I genuinely want to help somebody. And I have my philosophies and things like that. Like, I'm not a big launch angle guy, swing wise. I am if you can hit it out. If you're strong enough to hit a top spin home run, then yeah, you can do it. But I think that, in my opinion, nowadays you're seeing a lot of that being taught at the lower levels, and it's fine and it works if you're strong enough to do it, but it shouldn't be taught to guys who can't hit the ball for power. If I have a little guy that's 5'11", runs a 6'3", 60, is 140 pounds soaking wet, I'm not teaching him launch angle. I'm teaching him to bunt, hit the ball on the ground, put the ball in play, get on base, and I think it's just doing college baseball a disservice to trying to teach everybody to hit up in the air.
Yep.
And 90% of the balls, probably 98% of the balls at this level and up get caught, and I bet you 85 get caught at one that are on the ground. So it's like, I'm old school, backspin, swing down on the ball type mindset. So that's got to be something that a guy has in their swing as well, so.
Yep. Man, I love that. Everything that you just talked about, and just kind of working backwards. I'm thinking about, probably one of the big things, if you're coaching a guy, you want to see if he's coachable. And I think that's a big piece. I mean, I get it that you kind of, there's a couple of things that you like to coach, but you want to know that guys that are coming in are coachable, and if they aren't, hey man, they may struggle wherever they go. So I get that 100%. I think that's a great way to kind of get a feeling for who they are and if they're going to fit in. And I mean, again, it's because I'm a dad, obviously, but I love the way you were talking about, hey, how do they interact with their family? And this is a big thing. And I think it's kind of a lead in to what I preach about this podcast that we do. I think that college coaches absolutely know if they show up to watch somebody play, that kid can absolutely play. It is, what is their makeup all about? And I think this is what this show really presents, an opportunity for uncommitted high school prospects to say, hey, this is my makeup. This is my GPA. This is the way that I treat the weight room. This is the way I treat the community. These are the people that are involved in my life, and this is how I thank them, and I appreciate what it is that they're doing. And Coach, I got to tell you, I'm a stand-up person. And if you see me as a potential to represent your school, I am telling you, you don't have to worry about me off the field. You can really concentrate on baseball. When we show up on the field, let's talk about baseball and how we're going to get better and how we're going to win baseball games. And I got to believe, I think at least, I got to believe that's really, you would probably much rather focus on winning baseball games and getting better baseball players as opposed to, oh my goodness, let me talk to whatever counselor about Johnny that's not showing up for class because of whatever reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think makeup is a big piece. I love the way you kind of walk through that. And I think that speaks volumes as to why kids need to be stand-up kids. You got to be well-rounded if you really want to go and play at the next level. It's not just about talent. So, hey, again, everybody that's joining, thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for supporting Now D1 Speaks. Thank you for supporting Coach Heyne. Again, we record this space, and one of the reasons we obviously record it, we turn it into a podcast. It's Now D1 Speaks. I got to tell you, it's a pretty popular podcast. There's a bunch of coaches that are out there now listening to it. They subscribe to it. They're interested in the prospects that come on here and the potential they may have at the next level. So if you enjoy it, I would absolutely appreciate it if you'd go out there and find us, subscribe to it. And if you wanted to give us a 5-star, I would absolutely not tell you to do it. You know what I mean? Do it. So anyway, yeah, that's right. So let me ask you something, Coach. I want to know about some of your current players. We've kind of talked about Noah and Kobe just a little bit. How involved are you with sophomores and freshmen that are really wanting to kind of transition to another level? I mean, are you involved in helping them with that recruiting process? Or are you more dialed in to, you know what, guys, y'all go figure it out. I know I got to replace you, and I'm just recruiting for incoming people?
Yeah, so me and the staff, me and Coach Reinhardt and my other coach, Coach Tipton, are pretty involved in the process for sophomores. But ultimately, I tell every player this too, a little bit of a disclaimer. I tell all the players that they are responsible for themselves being recruited. And what I mean by that is performance. And then it even gets into a bigger picture when you're looking at team, right? Because what four-year coach is going to want a player from a team that doesn't know how to win? And I think when I was at the Division II level, I was looking at the top JUCO teams. Like, I want guys from those teams because they know how to win, and we're trying to turn it around here. Same thing for us. So I think that's the biggest thing is nobody wants to get a player from a junior college that doesn't win. Secondly, it's all about your performance on the field. You have to put up the numbers. Unfortunately, that's just part of our game and what people look at are the metrics and the numbers. But once all that happens, we're pretty involved in all of our guys at least getting their names out there. We do a scout day every fall where we video record everything. So we video record the 60, BP, infield, get all the metrics, velocity, swings, velo, all that good stuff, exit velo. And then we actually, Coach Reinhardt puts together clips, so YouTube clips of each guy. He'll put their name on it, position. Then he sends out an Excel spreadsheet with their major, GPA, hometown, position, height, weight, and then YouTube clip. And basically says, he separates it sophomore, freshman. But he sends it to every coach that he knows. I give him all the coaches I know, send it to them. And they can go on there at their leisure and click. So if they need a picture, they can look at all of our pictures and watch the videos. And there's contact information's on there. But also, too, I have each kid come in and write down some schools that they want to go to. Dream schools, it can be anything. If you want to go to Vanderbilt, put it on there. Put the dream schools on there, and then we'll narrow them down. And I've had these conversations with a lot of guys too. Is I want to go back to D1. I want to go back to Division I. And I'm like, we can do that we can try to get you there, but you want to play, you want to go somewhere where you're going to play. It's just like your decision to come here. You came here because you wanted to play. Give yourself an opportunity to go somewhere else. So, 1, 2, or 3, it doesn't, baseball is baseball. It's going to be all relevant to where you're at. You can go play Division I and realize, man, some of these schools could probably, lose or get beat by Division II. So it doesn't. Baseball is baseball, man, and you got to have the experience and you got to be able to play. I know you hear that all the time, but that's what needs to happen. But we're super involved. When I know when Noah was looking for schools here towards the end, I was getting phone calls like 5 or 6 a day from guys asking about him, wanting me to give him a rundown on him and what kind of character does he have and this and that. And that's the other thing too. I try to tell my guys this. I think baseball is the last topic they ask about when they call me. It's what kind of guy is he? What kind of character does he have? What's his grades? How does he act off the field? How does he act on the field? How does he interact with teammates? Oh, by the way, what does he throw? Does he throw 90? Does he throw, whatever? Baseball's always on the back burner because they're calling me because they know you're good at baseball. They don't need to know about that. They want to know about the other stuff. And that's where the on the field stuff kind of takes over, right? So if you do your part on the field, then you get noticed. Then they call me or Coach Reinhardt or Coach Tipton and get the lowdown on you. And then after that, then they got to make the decision, So, but yeah, no, we're super, super involved in all of the recruiting for all of our guys, incoming and outgoing.
I can believe it. And it's circular. It's good. It's good for the program for you to help guys move to the next level as well. That absolutely is going to help you recruit new guys coming in because you want to be able to say, hey, look at the success we've had. So it makes a ton of sense. Mm-hmm. So let me kind of ask you, like, just last year, off that team, however many guys you had on the roster that were able to move to another level, how many guys left Allegheny College of Maryland and are now playing somewhere else as either a junior or a sophomore?
Oh, man. I think we placed every sophomore except maybe 2. So I want to say I believe we had 17 or 18 sophomores, I believe. And so we had, placed 16 of them.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then I think Coach Reinhardt put a tweet out recently about how much scholarship money guys that we had given, that we had sent, how much money they actually were given. Like he had a total. He put a wild tweet out saying like, of the guys we sent on, they've gotten $200 and some $1,000 worth of scholarships.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
So, I love it.
We've ranged from 1 to 2s, 3s, everything like that. So we've got guys going everywhere.
Y'all have got a tremendously successful program. You're putting down just a fantastic track record. There's no question about it. So it kind of leads me to the next question that I really have for you, and that's just the current state of recruiting. So much has changed here over the last couple of years. You look at the D1, the contact rule changed. Now it's August 1st, your junior year. You look at the transfer portal. You've got NIL that's kind of floating around. The college recruiting landscape has changed drastically over just the last couple of years. What is it that you see that, benefits you at ACM and maybe, some changes that you would like to see?
Yeah, the transfer portal actually helps us, sometimes because we get those kickbacks that maybe don't want to go to a 4-year and they want to go to a JUCO for a year or 2 to play and go. But just recruiting in general, it's just different now, right? You used to, I think when I was at D&E or when I was, no, let's go back to when I was being recruited. Like the only way to get seen was if someone came to watch you, and now there's just so many platforms. I mean, I coach Reinhardt and I joke all the time, like, we don't need to do anything. We just go on Twitter and we could find our whole team, And it's like the social media and stuff. You could find your whole team on Twitter if you wanted. But I think, it's just, I think it's crazy too, to see how far we've come in that, people want to make offers to guys without seeing them, and things like that. And that, to me, that's just crazy. I don't know if anybody does that, but I know there were a couple schools that have never seen some of our guys play except for video. That we got moved on, and then they're taking a shot on them based off the numbers and my word, But that's just I don't know. I just like to see people in person. And another thing too is I think, and this could be contradictory to what travel ball means or is, but I think too now there's just so many travel ball organizations out there now. I think it's just becoming like too flooded with travel ball teams. Like every weekend going to a tournament and travel ball and playing 5 or 6 games every weekend. It's great for the kids because they're playing. But as a coach, if I need a right-handed pitcher, and I want to watch a guy play, and he, one weekend he's in New York, the next weekend he's in North Carolina, and it's just it's hard for me to go out and watch that guy, and to play, especially because of, in my opinion, the travel ball is more of a showcase ball, if that makes sense. It doesn't seem like it's about team camaraderie and winning and losing. Now, obviously there are teams that they all get along. A lot of times they know each other, maybe from other high schools. They meet up and play and this and that. But that's kind of why I like high school. If I go watch somebody, I like to watch high school, or like a prep school. There's some prep schools around here that I've gone and watched, post grad schools. Just to get a feel for somebody and who they are. But I think that's why, for me, if you as a player are interested in a school, taking a visit's the number one indicator to the coach, I think, that you're interested. If you're not interested in a visit, I think, too, it's really important for you just to communicate that with the coach. I think most coaches would agree with me that they don't like to be strung along and then told no at the end, or they don't want to be felt like you're interested, and then all of a sudden you're like, nope, I'm going here. I would rather you just tell me you're not interested in the beginning of the process, so I don't have to spend as much time. Like if you visit and you don't like it, I would rather you tell me that than not be honest with me. Like, hey, listen, I don't like the area. It just doesn't seem like for me. I wasn't a fan of your facilities. I really appreciate the opportunity, but I'm going to go somewhere else. Okay, I can live with that. But don't string coaches along at the last second. Say, oh, I'm going to go here. That's like, okay, now, but I mean, obviously, if we're like your one or first choice or second choice, and you're kind of trying to pick between one and two, that's different. But I've experienced it multiple times where I just get a feel like I'm going to get this guy, and then all of a sudden he never was really interested, And it's just like, man, I wish I would have known that 2 months ago. I probably could have given his money to somebody else and got them earlier. It's just, but yeah, recruiting, portal, all that good stuff. The portal it's crazy, and I think you're going to start seeing more people more coaches at the 4 years going for a JUCO guy with experience. I know we had talked earlier about that, just, having a guy who actually has playing experience over maybe someone who went to Tennessee or something like that and never played. Are they going to want to take a shot at him, or are they going to want a guy who's established?
Yep.
And you're going to start seeing that, I think, more.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I think you're 100% right. This is like a crazy dating app anymore or something like that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just kind of nuts the way it all works out. I mean, what a great rundown all the way. I absolutely appreciate everything that you're talking about. And college recruiting has changed. It's changed tremendously, but there's still so much opportunity for high school kids. I do like the D1 rule with the later contact. I think it is good. I think the kids, if you're in eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, you do need to be working on developing your game without the pressure of my friend just committed somewhere ridiculous. You know what I mean? You need to be thinking more about how do I just get bigger, faster, stronger if this is what it is that I really want to do. So I think there's a lot of advantage to that. And I do agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. One of the things that Noah Williamson in particular has said when we were interviewing, I just love that comment that he made. He goes, he had some D1 offers coming out of high school, wasn't necessarily exactly the right fit. And so he decided to take a kind of a gamble on himself, and he went to ACM. And he was like, I wanted to go to junior college because I felt like the leverage was on my side. And I've thought about that so much. I was thinking that was such a mature comment and so much bravado to it as well, but he backed it up. But it was like, let me go and prove myself and let's see what happens. And if I do it, then I've got opportunities at the college level that'll still be in front of me. I'll also have draft opportunities that are in front of me. And if I'm able to perform, they're there. And if I'm not able to perform, you know what? I probably shouldn't have gone wherever I was thinking I could go out of high school. And I thought that was just so unbelievable. And, and it played out for him. It obviously worked for him. And he had an opportunity, now he's going to Ohio State. And, and he kind of played that out. So I think junior college just really affords high school kids so many opportunities. And I hope that guys aren't overlooking that. I hope there's not that D1 or bust, so to speak, that's the only thing that I can do. And if I don't get that social media clout, then gosh, somehow I'm a failure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Well, one thing before we move on was like, I just want to touch on is with Noah in the junior college, his mentality was just the way it needs to be for junior college, right? Like nobody was going to give him anything. Like if he was going to do anything, it was going to be because of himself earning it, and then obviously we helped him connect him with certain coaches and things like that. But he had put in the work and had the mentality of doing it and earning it himself. I think sometimes you run into, well, I went to junior college, they're supposed to get me somewhere type thing. And a lot of times, we try, we bust our butts to try to help you. But at the end of the day, you have to put up the numbers. You have to work hard. You have to get the grades. You have to have, be a good person on and off the field. So if some of those boxes are unchecked, there's not a whole lot we can do for you, right? So, I will make the call, but I'm going to be honest with coaches. And I tell people that all the time, our guys on our team, like, if a coach calls me and asks me a question, I'm not putting my reputation on the line for future players by telling them something that's not true, right? I'm going to tell them exactly what you are, who you are, how you are, and if you're afraid of what I'm going to say, then you have the power to change it, So we try to help them grow up that way sometimes too, It's just that's part of the process of being a coach.
Man, that's good stuff. I've got to ask you, I just kind of went through Noah's progression. I was looking through some of the stats, and obviously Kobe White was on as well. And Kobe's a fantastic talent. Big time center fielder for you, ton of speed. He's got an opportunity now to go to Stephen F. Austin. But I was looking through some of his stats, and I got to ask you, Coach, one thing that really surprised me, it's a good thing and a bad thing. He stole home a couple of times, but it was only a couple of times.
Yeah.
Were you holding him back or what happened there?
No. So I remember both of them exactly. We were playing Frederick. We were playing Frederick one time last year, not this year, but the past year. And there was a big righty on the mound, took his hands over his head, big slow delivery. And Kobe gets over there to third. I think he stole second, then advanced to third or stole third. He might have stole both. I don't remember. But he got to third, and first thing he does, most of the time, this is the first thing he says to me is, hey, let me go. I'm like, no, you're not going to go. It's the sixth inning in the 7-inning game, and we're down by 3. Like, you're not stealing home, dude. All right, just calm down. But in this case, it was versus Frederick, who's one of the powerhouses in our conference. So, and it was a big game, and I feel like I just felt like we didn't have momentum at this point in the game, and like anything, I was just getting the time from home plate to the catcher, like when the pitcher throws it in, right? I'm trying to get a time, and I'm like, hey, if he's within this range, like, we're gonna roll. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So, and he goes, well, every time I steal home, I've never been caught. Yeah, I've stole home a bunch in my life, but I've never been caught. I'm like, all right, well, don't let today be the time you get caught, So, but I gave him the go-ahead. He actually stole home pretty easily. And then this past year, same thing. We had a righty up, and all this, by the way, is not communicated with the batter, which is number one, the bad thing, because like this dude, they could swing. It's just, I think Kobe, when we played Frederick, a lefty was up, so he had like a path to get in there. But last year we were playing Westmoreland at home, and big righty was up, and I have a video of it somewhere. He's running down the line, you just hear him saying, don't swing, don't swing, don't swing. And then he slides in safe. But yeah, he's done it twice since being here. It's pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Kobe's got that infectious personality. I can absolutely appreciate him probably talking you into, hey, guy, let me do this. I'm going to make it.
Yeah, it's hard to not say yes to him sometimes, because he's just a good dude. He does everything the right way, and I'm going to miss him. But me and him talk on the regular, so I think that's going to be good. I'm sure he'll be asking me about stuff that happens down at Stephen F.A. Austin. So,
hey, that is awesome. That speaks volumes of you and the relationships that you have with your players. Again, man, this has just been an awesome night, man. I mean, it's so funny. I mean, for everybody that's kind of dialed in, I mean, Coach Heyne and I mean, we don't know each other. I went through it earlier as to how we got connected. I think it's awesome that he was just like, you know what, I think I could help out a couple of the guys and your parents that listen to this show. I've got a great perspective. And he reached out to me. I was like, this is unbelievable. And we shared maybe one email or something like that. And then I called him today just to give him an idea of how to get on this space and make sure that we could talk and do all this stuff. I mean, we don't know each other. And I got to tell you, man, I am just so impressed with you, Coach, all the way around. I mean, you are just you're just a stand-up person. I mean, and you can pick up on that kind of thing very, very quickly. And I touched on it earlier. Hey, I'm a dad. I've got a baseball son. He went through the entire process. He played college baseball. He's through with his career. But I got to tell you, you're exactly the kind of person that parents would trust. There's just no doubt about it. I wouldn't even hesitate if my son came to me and said, you know what? I think I want to go junior college and I want to go up to Maryland. At first I'd be like, what are you talking about? and then if I had an opportunity to talk to you, I mean, I tell you what, you're the kind of guy that can absolutely help kids develop in their life. And as you talked about earlier, it's not always about baseball. I mean, it is, where are you going to go in the next 40 years of your life? That's what you always, you kind of hear. It's not and I know we're talking about junior college, but you always hear it's not a 4-year decision. It's literally a 40-year decision. And I think about your experience when you were in college, and you just touched on it. Hey, we go to each other's weddings. We want to know about when kids are being born. I mean, for our core audience, this is big stuff, man. It's not about the first coach that says, hey, I think you can play baseball. I mean, you really need to kind of look at it. And it's not always about, oh my goodness, it's the D1, whatever. I mean, you really, really need to look about what the opportunities are and what it will do for you for the rest of your life. And I got to tell you, Coach Heyne, man, you are just an impressive person, man. I am so happy that you've been on. I'm really thrilled that Coach Reinhardt was on. I'm stunned that we had a couple of players on. I think you're great representatives of what it is that you guys offer in Maryland. So thank you. Thank you very, very much for being on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
No doubt about it. Let's kind of end it tonight with, and I know we've been talking about recruiting, but let's just talk about maybe some younger guys. And maybe it's baseball or football or basketball, whatever it is. It's just young athletes that really enjoy the sport that they're in, and they're pretty good, and they want to be as good just for as long as they can be good. What kind of advice would you give them?
Play it until you can't play it anymore. Regardless if it's through college or recreational, it doesn't matter. If you find something that you enjoy and you find joy out of, you just keep doing it until you can't anymore, because there will come a day where you just can't do it anymore. and then if you can't play, then find a way to get involved in a different capacity, like coaching, or if you have a son or daughter or whatever, and through them, live vicariously through them if you can. But I think the biggest thing is if you enjoy something and you're passionate about it, keep that alive by doing it as long as you can. And if it ever becomes where it's not, then maybe it's time to not do it anymore. That's kind of how my thought was on coaching, because I didn't know how long I was going to coach. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just go until it's not fun anymore. And so far that's not the case. So here we
I got to tell you, man, from my perspective, I think you're having a ton of fun, and I can't imagine you not having fun with this. Let's just hope that your wife coaches volleyball for a long time.
I know, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Or if she goes somewhere big time, maybe that's what I'm thinking. No.
That's too funny, man. Hey, again, everyone, for being on this evening, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you for supporting Now D1, and thank you for supporting Coach Heyne. I'll tell you, tomorrow night, we got a kind of an interesting night tomorrow night. We've got Adam Battersby on. Adam is the owner of Pro Hitter. And Pro Hitter has been around for many, many years, and it's one of these contraptions that throws batting practice, and it's phenomenal. And I got to tell you, it's high tech. I think it's really interesting, and I think that a lot of people are going to enjoy what it is that he has to say. He's been doing this for a really long time. So I would ask that you tune in tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. We're not going to have a coach. We're not going to have an uncommitted prospect. We're going to have a business owner, and we're going to talk about his technology. I think it'll be pretty cool. Hey, Coach Heyne, thank you again for being here. And I love what it is that you're representing. I think you got a first-class attitude. I think that your school is phenomenal all the way around. I love the fact that you've only had 3 coaches and you've got tremendous tradition. I think you've got a tremendously bright future. You offer what it is that kids want, and I know you're offering what it is that parents want. I have no doubt that you're going to be extremely successful for a long time. I just can't thank you enough for spending a little bit of time with us this evening. I hope you have absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been great. I appreciate you letting me come on and share some experiences. Hopefully it was helpful for everybody. So
no question about it. I hope that and I can't imagine that we wouldn't be, but I hope we're able to stay in touch. And man, I tell you what, maybe a year from now or something like that, I'd love for you to come back on and say, hey, let me tell you about what's happening now at ACM.
Yeah, sounds great. Love to do it.
Awesome. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for being here. We're going to end it here for tonight. So good night. Hey, let me ask you something. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more major league, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1, and you will save $25 at checkout. Unlock your potential with Blast.